to Gaming on a Budget. Today we bring you the Grizzled from Cool Mini or Not. And this time around the answer is definitely or not, because you will not find a single mini in this game. This is very much a departure from their usual style of, buckets full of plastic. Wonderful, wonderful plastic, but still. The closest thing you're going to find in here is this little first player standee. So, with that out of the way, the Grizzled is a cooperative, I guess you would call it survival game for 2 to 5 players that plays, as the box says, quite literally in about 30 minutes, give or take. If you have a particularly rough round, it may be over quite a bit faster than that. This is, very, very much a challenging game. So, also, this is a game that, as I understand it, is something they kind of imported from Europe. My understanding is that the artist actually died in the Charlie Hebdo attacks, so, certainly some significance there, and several of the people involved in the design were actually related to real participants in World War I. So there's a lot of history and a lot of solid foundation to this game. But in a nutshell, what we're going to be doing, I find to be summed up quite well in the little introductory paragraph there at the beginning of the bottom of the rule book, which I will read you real quick. Feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to hear it for some reason, but it's real quick. August 2nd, 1914. In the village square, the group of inseparable friends contemplate, stunned, the general mobilization order plastered to the town hall. For many weeks now, the papers had become worrisome, but the brutality of the announcement surprises everyone. Without having any idea of the hell in which they'll be plunged, they promise each other that they'll survive, to come back all together, no matter what happens. Unfortunately, the reality they'll have to face will be much worse than their deepest fears. Now, in the Grizzled, we will be a group of friends, not so much fighting a war as really attempting to come back in one piece, both mentally and physically. And that will be represented by the, trial cards we'll be playing. Some of them will have symbols such as a gas mask, a raid whistle, or an artillery shell. Some of them will have weather conditions such as night, snow, and rain. And finally, some cards will be hard knocks, or forms of trauma that our characters will build up mentally over time, dealing with the hardships of war. The basic rule of the game is, as we play out cards in each round, if there are ever 3 matching types, for example 3 night cards or 3 raid whistles, the mission has been failed. Also, at the end of a mission, after support has taken place, if a character has 4 or more lightning bolt symbols from the hard knocks, the entire game has been failed. You've lost the war and that character has lost the plot, unfortunately. Losing a mission isn't necessarily the end of the world, but if you do it too often, this game will chew you up and spit you out. So, as you can see on the game aid down here, we'll be going through 4 basic phases. Preparation, in which the leader will be choosing the difficulty, if you will, for the round, the amount of cards we'll each have to draw from the pile here, and then we'll be going on the mission where cards will be played and abilities will be used. Afterwards, as people withdraw from the mission, they'll be choosing a support tile, which will indicate the character they would like to support. If any character receives a majority of support, not a tie, but a majority, they will be able to, gain some special advantages, which we'll get into more in the game. And then finally, our morale will decrease, which will be represented by cards being added from the what is this?
Monument.
The monument pile to the peace pile. Our goal being to empty the peace pile and empty our hands, at which point we would have won. Not too likely, though. We've won 1 in 6 games, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that.
So, and we're fairly experienced gamers, so yeah, definitely a difficulty curve here. Oh, and the final thing I should explain is the dummy character here. In a 2-player game, obviously you would never be able to achieve a support majority if, you only had 2 people, because you'd each be voting for each other no matter what, and it would go nowhere.
Unless you were selfish.
Yeah, sure. The dummy player will play a random support token of his each round and won't take part in the game in any other way. He's basically not there except to add a randomized support token. He's our doctor, our chaplain?
Chaplain.
Chaplain,
I was like,
okay.
thematically, he is the chaplain.
Yeah. So he doesn't take part in the war, but, he's there for us to support us. So I think that's probably about all we need to go over in advance. So why don't we get on to some gameplay? Should be able to film an entire one since, like I said, very brief. So